Hello again. Welcome back to your 5-minute devotional stop with me, Amy Phillips. I'm on a journey moving from fear to faith, and I hope you'll join me for Just Believe. Hey, dear ones. So do you ever feel like you're in a battle for your faith? Or maybe you're just kind of dulled out? I have felt that way this week. I've been dealing with some physical illness, but there are always other things, emotions and things under the surface when this happens. So for me, I stop and I set aside a time and I ask the Lord, what lies am I believing right now? Or why does my faith seem so small right now? He's always so faithful to speak to us, to bring up conversations or feelings that have been rumbling around in our hearts. And if some of those things are left unchecked, they can just get bigger and uglier. So as I was asking that question this week about my faith, I was realizing that's what it's about all the time, our faith and trust in the Father. So guess what? Here we are again discussing our faith. So if you were the enemy, what would you go after in a believer who's living for Jesus? Their faith, right? In any way you can. I'd use disappointments, disillusionment, pain, heartache, broken expectations, whatever it would take to get that person to have the wrong view of God and begin to erode their life of faith. Our faith and our trust in God is foundational for how we present ourselves to the world. What comes out of me will influence people around me one way or the other. If we're kind of low in faith and trust of God, we might be nice to be around, or maybe not. But are we spreading that hope that calls people upward in their walk with Jesus? Did our presence draw someone into deeper love with their Father in heaven or create more trust than they've had before? Did we share the love of Jesus with someone who's far away from him? Are we bringing faith in our words, our attitudes, our hearts for people and the way that we see situations? Oh God, help us in that pursuit of faith today. In Matthew 5, after the Beatitudes, Jesus continues to teach them about what a follower of Jesus looks like. It says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." So shining our light is basically showing our faith to the world. It can be done in so many ways. Some of those ways are using actual words to share the gospel. And if you don't know how to do that, please contact me and I'll share a simple way to share your faith. But shining your light is also just being full of faith, trusting Jesus for everything, living in joy even when something bad happens because you know that God is in it with you and He's going to bring something good out of it. Shining your light means showing up for the people around you with an attitude that encourages, comforts, and strengthens. It's shining your light in doing good deeds before others so they will glorify your Father in heaven. So where's your faith today, my friends? If I was with you, I would put my hands on your shoulders and remind you who you are and whose you are. Are you stuck thinking God can't use you? Do you think He can't transform you? Do you think He can't move you through that fear, that pride, that habitual sin? If those questions are resonating, the enemy has been lying to you. Let me instead ask these questions. What were you uniquely made for? What is the message you carry? Or what are you believing God for in your life? Friends, are you waiting for someone else to tell you that you're good enough? Or someone else to tell you that you can do it? Unfortunately, a human may never tell you that. I hope that's not the case. But God will. If He's put a dream in your heart, He's going to bring it to pass, in spite of what anyone else says about you. We've got to stop comparing ourselves to anyone else, because they weren't made for what you were made for. God is not afraid of depression, of woundings, of fears, or shame. He can break through every barrier that might be in the way. In fact, He sets a table before you right in the presence of your enemies. My friend had a picture this week from Psalm 23. In the picture, she's at the table next to Jesus, and seated around the table were fear, shame, disappointment, you name it. I loved it because it recognizes that scripture that says, "My battle is not against flesh and blood, but against every power and principality." These days, our battle is not against the person who thinks differently than us about the election or COVID or global warming or anything people are talking about these days. The enemy is the enemy, and he works through circumstances and people to get his way, but people are not our enemies. So God came and filled that table in front of her with this amazing banquet. And she said she looked and she wondered, why were they all at the table with her? And he said to her, as you feed on me, you will starve them out. Isn't that the best picture? God is feeding you, tending you, being with you in the presence of your enemies, but your cup is overflowing. Friends, it goes on to say, surely goodness and mercy will follow you all the days of your life. So today, friend, I'm calling you up in faith. I'm calling you up to that amazing calling that's on your life, to be a lamp shining in the light in the midst of darkness. We are called together to be a city on a hill that cannot be hidden. If your faith is small today, take some time and ask Him why. Is there anything clouding your vision of Him or of you? Because your identity in Him is sure. You are a bright light, even if you don't feel that way now. You are called to do things for Jesus and the kingdom of heaven that only you can do. So get seated at that table in the place the Father has prepared for you today. Even if the enemies are sitting around, they cannot have you or the bounty that God has given to you. Do not fear, friends. Just believe. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you feel encouraged and strengthened. If you want to connect with me, you can find me at amybphillips.com. See you next time.